time you tap on your phone. Remember, India's chip journey started long before Apple, Intel, or Samsung even entered in your life. We kept it a secret for 50 years. But now, it's time. The world knows. What if I told you that India built its very first semiconductor chip almost 50 years ago, long before Silicon Valley became a global buzzword for us? Yes, India entered the chip race decades earlier than most people believe. But here's the twist. It's a story that got buried in silence. Semiconductor chips, tiny pieces of silicon, are literally the brains of modern devices. From your smartphones to satellites, nothing works without them. Today, governments fight wars of influence over chip supply chains. But rewind to the 1970s. The chip industry itself was new, and India found itself dreaming of joining this exclusive club. Back then, the US, Japan, and later South Korea were aggressively pushing chip innovation. Nations knew whoever controlled semiconductors would control the future. Now consider India, a developing nation, just recovering from wars and poverty, and yet India's visionary leaders believed if space was possible after Vikram Sarabhai's ISRO dream, why not semiconductors too? Enter 1976. The government of India set up the Semiconductor Complex Limited in Mohali, Punjab. For many, this might sound like a simple factory. But trust me, this was bold. Here, Indian scientists and engineers began attempting what only super rich Western nations were doing: building integrated circuits or ICs. They weren't just building electronics, they were planting the seeds of India's technological sovereignty. So, what exactly was this first Indian chip? It wasn't a fancy AI processor like the ones we see today. It was a small, basic integrated circuit designed for specific uses in defense, communication, and space missions. Think of it like a toddler's first steps, wobbly but historic. And here's the interesting part. Most of India never knew this happened. These chips went quietly into ISRO rockets and defense systems, hidden from the limelight. Why? Because semiconductor technology was and still is deeply tied to national security. But then, tragedy struck. In 1989, a massive fire broke out at SCL. Years of hard work and research literally turned into ashes overnight. Was it just an accident? Some whispered about negligence. Others spun theories about sabotage by foreign powers, terrified of India competing in semiconductors. To this day, that mystery lingers. But what we do know is that fire pushed India back by decades in the chip race. While countries like Taiwan and South Korea were leaping forward, India was forced to crawl again. And here lies the heartbreak. Semiconductors could have made India a hardware giant by only 1990s. Instead, India ended up importing chips from abroad, becoming overly dependent on global markets. Yes, India did rise as an IT services superpower thanks to companies like Infosys, TCS and Wipro. But the dream of being a chip manufacturing powerhouse, that went underground. Yet, the story doesn't end here. SCL did not completely die. In fact, it quietly kept working, mostly for India's space agency ISRO and defense research body DRDO. Each time a PSLV rocket launched successfully, you could sometimes trace tiny contributions back to that Mohali plant. But because of scarcity and national security priorities, this story never made it to headlines. It became a silent legacy, keeping the flame alive while the world thought India had given up. Fast forward to today, with global chip wars heating up, US, China, Taiwan locked in cutthroat battles. India is back in the game. The government launched a semiconductor mission in 2021-22, offering huge incentives for chip factories. Global giants like Micron, Foxconn, AMD are now betting on India. New plants are being approved, new alliances forged. Suddenly, what was once a forgotten dream is becoming a billion-dollar reality. So, what do we learn from this half-century chip saga? Vision matters. India dreamt big in the 1970s when survival itself was difficult. Consistency matters. Dreams fail without long-term government support. And resilience matters. Even decades of setbacks didn't kill the idea. Our scientists quietly kept the faith alive for a time when the world would finally pay attention again. So yes, India's first semiconductor chip is not just technology, it's a story of pride, pain and persistence. The question is, can India finally catch up and claim its rightful place as a global chip hub? Tell me what you think in the comments below, and if stories like this inspire you, hit that like button and share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more untold histories of tech and science from India and beyond.